Hello and welcome to another Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. Let me go ahead and fix my camera. It's being a little weird. Alright, it was a little high up there. It's getting a lot of ceiling and not enough of me. Alright. So, Weekend Bryan. It's easy. I was at Gen Con for pretty much all of the week before. I don't have much to say about that. It was a lot of work. It was I got to play a couple of games, and I think what I'm gonna do, rather than I'm gonna give you a quick update on. So weight loss is going better. Still going to the gym 3 times a week. Obviously, Gen Con I didn't make it to the gym, but I did a lot of walking and a lot of heavy boxes and things. So. I kind of count that as a wash. Also, as you will hear in my story, or in today's topics, I had a lot of really good dinners that were. I definitely did not stick to the diet while I was there. I tried to be smart, but I did not stick to the diet, and I'm still 15 pounds down from when I started this whole process up again. So. Good for that. All is well there. I think what I'm gonna do is before I'm gonna jump into Gen Con here in a minute, and we're gonna go through. I'm just gonna go through my days. Now, keep in mind, I was there for like 6 days because of work stuff and things. I was there an extra day before, and didn't leave until Monday morning. But before I get into that. I want to do something cool for all of you. So before, for my dear friends at Steamforged Games, before Gen Con, I had talked to them about doing an unboxing of some of their new Epic Encounter stuff because I love their stuff so much. And they said, yeah, that'd be great, especially considering one of them was up for an Ennie. And I was trying to get that done before Gen Con so you guys could get on the website and vote. However, the package did not arrive until I was at Gen Con. So I'm going to do that unboxing right now. Let me take the cellophane off so you guys don't get a bunch of glare as I show you the box. We've got 2 products. They are related to one another, as Epic Encounters often are. We have the Step of the Lizard Thane. So let's take a look here. Everything you need to create an epic encounter for your role-playing game. We have, of course, the little advertisement, which I don't need. I know how awesome these guys are. Get in there. Get in there. Okay. We have, let's see what our map looks like. We have always a 2-sided map, and it comes with a little campsite, which is pretty cool. So it's got a campsite, which, you know what, the number of times that I've like seen map sets and stuff like that that don't have how many times have you ambushed in D&D? Seriously. And then we also have a little. It's like a sunken gully road that looks like it's got some kind of like log trap or a dam or something, like an ambush point. So that could be cool too. Very, very neat. Happy about that. Comes with the book. The book explains. Obviously it's got all the stats and all the cool art and the various creatures and things. What do we have? They almost always have some kind of like. Like some kind of additional rule thing that makes these extra special. So let's take a look. See what these are. Something that jumps out. We've got an ambush, like I said. Yeah, some special plants. That's cool. From wiregrass to fire sap. That's neat. And then we've got rules to loot wagons. Cool. And then the actual characters themselves. All right. let's take a look at the minis and show you what they are. Now, they're kind of a deep magenta plastic, so it might not be too easy to see these guys. But we'll go ahead and get them out so you can see them as much as possible. They're pretty cool. There's at least one type of critter in here that I'm seeing that looks really cool. It's not even... Is this just... I thought these were glued on. Oh, no, they've got a new package. Okay, so back in the day, the earlier ones had tape on them. These actually have little, like, pressure pops. Cool, so there's no more tape, which means you can use it as a reusable lid. All right, so in this box, we get 3 lizard peltasts, which are going to be guys with like slings and daggers. Cool. The bases on these guys are really thick too. They've upped their game. They've really upped their game a lot. Very cool, Steamforged. I hadn't seen the new ones yet. They're on like raised plastic hard bases. Very cool. Also comes with 6 lizard warriors. Look like they have 2 kind of like primitive scimitars. Very cool. We have 2 lizard clerics that honestly kind of remind me of like Skeksis from Dark Crystal, to be fair. So they got like this staff and they had a spell curling up in their hands. Then here's the 3 that I was like, these are cool. These are lizard wardens, so they're large. They're on large bases, but they're like big honking dudes with like extra sort of bones and tusks glued to or tethered to the back of their hands, so their attacks are even gnarlier. And they look more savage too. They've got like a raised back fin. Yeah, those guys are cool. And then we get 3 lizard folk mounted on saber-toothed tigers. So they're on big saber-toothed tigers. I will say this. I don't want to say that's disappointing, but the size-wise on the lizard folk on the back of the saber-toothed tiger and even the peltast, if you were to tell me that the what was riding the saber-toothed tiger was a kobold, I would, and I might actually paint them as kobolds. Because they are much smaller in, well, wait a minute. No, they're about the same size. Now that I get them right next to each other and I look at the model has like their legs sculpted in like very long and down the sides. Okay, no, never mind. They're just riding real deep. Because he's the right size. Okay, never mind. Statement withdrawn. They are the right size. They're just not the big warrior type. And then the last one, of course, as per the name on the box, we have the Lizard Thane himself. Oh, this guy's rad. So he's got this kind of bone primitive sword and a big axe. But I think what's cool about him, apart from like he's got a very he's got the elaborate tunic, or not tunic, the dress. It's more than a loincloth, but he also has this mantle that he's wearing that has like tusks. I'm assuming saber-tooth tusks because of or saber teeth because of the other saber-tooths involved. But he's a big fella, but he's got lots of cool detail. Painting him is going to be a lot of fun. In fact, he might end up getting painted and used as a player character. I think he'd be a really cool like lizard folk barbarian or something. Very, very cool. So yeah, so that's the step of the Lizard Thane, which again, these guys do such great work, and I'm sure the adventure inside is super rad. I never have any complaints about their products. It's so tight, and I love the color coded plastic to know which things go with which. And yeah, it doesn't work once you get them painted. You know, it doesn't help when you get it painted, but it is what it is. And then one of my, if I don't know if you can hear that on the microphone. My microphone's pretty good. I've got one of my dogs is howling. So let me go find out what that is. I'll be right back. Well, that was weird. I apologize for that brief interruption. So I record at various times of the day based off of when my meetings and stuff are for work. And my one of our dogs. I wasn't gonna bring it up. One of our dogs is not doing not, and I won't say not doing well, but is needing to do some vet visits and things for us to find out more about what's going on. Hopefully, it is not serious. So my wife had to take that dog to the vet today to get some blood drawn and all that kind of stuff. And our youngest dog, Barry Allen, fastest dog in the world, was upstairs howling out the window like a wolf because he obviously missed his mom and is worried about wherever she went with John. So I'm sorry for that brief interruption because of neurotic dogs. So now, let me get the shrink wrap off of the second one. So this, all the epic encounters have the main encounter book, like adventure / main box with all the regular critters in it. And then they have this really cool upgrade for you to add like a super big boss fight. And this one that attaches to the Step of the Lizard Thane is the Nest of the Dinosaur. I think it's weird though they just straight up call it a dinosaur when it's got two heads. Like it doesn't have a different name. It's not like the Duosaur or the Terrorsaur or anything like that. I find that weird. I would have probably named it more than just dinosaur. But I mean, it is what it says on the tin. It comes with another double-sided map, and this double-sided map looks like it is a sort of a rocky, like a mountainside path or a coastal path, and then that leads further up the mountain to I can't tell if that's supposed to be like a magic portal or a pool of water. I don't know. It's something's down here. I'm sure it. So the boss maps tend to be a little more specific as to what they bring to the table. So we'll find out here in a second. It comes with the book, which we'll look at here in a moment, and then comes with a punch card of Lizard Folk Warriors in case you don't have enough from the main box, and then it's got Tyrannosaur younglings, so little baby tokens. I'm sure that if there's probably like a nest or something that can erupt with badness. I don't know. And then the actual model. I'll show you the model. Oh, he's cool. He's very cool. Again, I'll probably call it a Terrorsaur. But all one piece, already glued together, or already adhered to the base. Check out this big monstrosity. What a rad bad guy. Two-headed, super spiky Tyrannosaurus with a like this Ankylosaurus style club tail. That's so cool. Oh, and it's got, oh my god. Okay, so it's a combination, but I wish they would have put like Stegosaurus plates down its back, because it even has Velociraptor claws. Technically also Deinonychus claws. Oh, so cool. It's basically like an amalgamate of different predatory dinosaurs with a giant club tail. How cool. And it's solid. Like, I could beat somebody with that thing. How cool is that? I love it. Alright, I'm going to take a second to punch out at least the little Tyrannosaurs to put them. There's in the plastic, there is a spot to put tokens. Again, brilliant packaging. I'm going to put the tokens in there so I can throw away the punch card. not store that again. But then we're going to take a look at the book. I want to see what... I am interested to see what this is. And similar to the other ones, it is a press down... a press down thing. So it's not tape again. So they've definitely, I don't want to say learned their lesson, but they're not using tape anymore, and they just use the press lids. Very cool. All right, Nest of the Dinosaur. Okay, we got lore. We have how to do the different encounters. God sculpted the first dragon. So these dinosaurs are like pre-dragons. All right, what is the map supposed to be of? Let's find out. Oh, okay. It's not a portal. It's number 2. It is the... Wait, why? It's numbered, but you don't tell me what. It is a rainwater pool. So that's steam coming off of the pool. Okay, cool, cool. I like that. And then we've got different attack types for the dinosaur thing itself. Different abilities that it does. Oh, it looks really scary. And then it has a legendary, a once per encounter legendary action that it can try and swallow somebody. Very cool. And it's got some treasure. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So they call it a Tyrannosaurus Rex in its stat line. They call it just the dinosaur everywhere else. It's called the Tyrannosaurus Rex in its stat line, but I think I would call it like the Terrorsaurus, because it's it's more than just the regular dinosaur. And it's pretty scary. Very cool. All right, so Steamforged guys, thank you so much for sending me this Epic Encounters boxes for me to unbox. And if you are into lizards and dinosaurs in your Dungeons and Dragons games, you need to pick these up, and I will put the link to them in the description of the video. And if you do get them and you get the opportunity, please, please, please take the extra step and tell them that I sent you. The more people that they know whether their unboxings bring you cool stuff, the more unboxings we get. So, without further ado, let's talk about the best 4 days in gaming. So, as I know, you've probably noticed me drink quite a bit from the various Gen Con cups. For the last, 4 years, I think, the last 4 shows, they've done these big plastic cups. And yeah, they're expensive, like $15 to get them initially with your first soda. Or tea, or lemonade, or whatever. But it is a collectible cup. They hold up really well. The first ones that I have, their ink isn't coming off. They're not cheaply made. And they're big enough that they can hold, an entire... can of something, libation. They're just good cups, and from a show where I never keep my badges, I always forget my lanyards. Just collectively, it's a nice souvenir, and one while you're at the show, if I'm right. It's like you buy the cup and then you get not free refills. That would be amazing. But you do get reduced cost refills when you bring your cup back, and it's totally cool. And I make sure to get one every year, and this is the one from this year. It says August 3rd to 6th, 2023, best 4 days in gaming. And then it has this kind of cool picture of a dryad lady with a little dragon. Which might be a dryad. She might be a tiefling, like a woodsy tiefling. I don't know. She's cool. She could be a satyr for all I know. I don't care. It's awesome. It's a good cup. Okay, so what I'm going to do for the rest of this episode is we're just going to roll through how I'm just going to try and remember everything that happened, not every little detail, but I'm going to go through each day and tell you about how awesome Gen Con was. And if you are a Tales from a Professional Nerd fan and you did not get a chance to see me, you're going to find out why. And if you are not, and you were just someone who didn't go to Gen Con, you will get to hear some of the cool stuff that happened. Hopefully not suffer a ton of FOMO. Okay, so I rolled in on Tuesday. I know you're like, but the show doesn't start until Thursday. It's necessary. If you are part of a company, if you do set up on Wednesday, sometimes it is necessary to get in a day or two early, not just to like decompress, but also the day that you get there, you don't want to be rushing around, checking into your hotel and getting your stuff unpacked and figuring out where everything is. You want to give yourself some time to figure out what's up. And that's what happened in this case. My lovely wife dropped me off at my hotel, and I got unpacked, and then I hung out a little bit with Chris Ramsley over with Evil Genius, one of our designers, and they generally go by Goober. I call him Goob, just because Goober, I don't know, maybe it's growing up through the late 80s and 90s. I calling somebody Goober on purpose seems weird, seems odd to me. It has a weird connotation, because when I was young, calling somebody a goober meant they were like a dork or a geek, or you big goober, like it almost has negative connotations. So I call him Goob, because they don't prefer to go by Chris if possible. They prefer to go by Goober, and I've asked, they say it's okay to be called Goob, so I call him Goob, or Goobs, that is. But we hung in, and we stayed inside, had some pizza, and talked about upcoming cool stuff for Evil Genius. And then at some point, my good friend Tommy Gofton, over at the owner-operator of Six Sides of Gaming, reached out, answered by message, and was like, hey, we're over at the hotel down in the bar, hanging out, you should come over. And so I did, and I was trying to get a hold of Tommy and Elisa and a lot of some of the old Renegade crew, and instead I find Tommy and a bunch of his crew sitting around a table playing, or getting ready to play, this kind of Stranger Things Breakfast Club mashup fun game that Keith Baker created. Keith Baker, the creator of Eberron, if you do not know who he is. Now, I know Keith, but I don't know if I would say that we are friends. We're just, friendly. Like, he's a nice acquaintance. Every time I've ever met him, he's been great. But we, invited, he was like, oh, hey, Bryan, and, come on in, and invited me to sit down and play this game. We had a blast. It went way too late, and there were several interruptions from people. Again, this is the night that a lot of us would, the only night that we really get to like openly socialize before our schedule starts up. So there were a lot of times that people would come over, Elisa and Jenny and Ben and everybody would swing by, and there's lots of hugs, and there's you might be in the middle of this like role-playing scene, and someone comes over and grabs you and steals you away, because you don't want to be rude. You haven't seen this person in it could be months, if not a year, but you also don't want to ignore the game you're playing because they're waiting on you. It was a thing. Some drinks were had, some games were played. It was a great time. But at the end of the night, which ended way too late for my tastes these days, I think we rolled out of the place at like 2 in the morning. It was late. But we had a good time. We finished Keith's little mini adventure, and we had a ton of fun. I don't know if he has any plans to do anything with the game, so I won't talk about like the mechanics or anything. But it was fun. It was neat. It had some interesting twists, and it was a simple enough system that I think that it could be a great like intro to role play for a lot of people. But either way, had a good time. Thank you, Keith, for inviting me. Thank you, Tommy, for always a good time. And then Tuesday night ended. Wednesday was setup. Wednesday was a lot of setup. It was a lot of juggling boxes and back and forth, and do we open this, and do we have enough stock, and where does this go? And I mean, it was chaos. Setting up a booth is always chaos. Even if, like, our company, we have like I don't want to say hired hands, but basically they're hired craftsmen that come in and help build the hard part of the booth. It's just madness. It is utter madness, and it always is. Once that got all wrapped up and done, and we were all set, and everything was great, we eventually headed over to the Taxman Brewery restaurant. Not the brewery itself. I got a little confused when I plugged it into my lift. It tried to start taking me out south of town where the actual brewery is, and I was like, wait, no, wrong way. And so we're at the restaurant, and that was our corporate GM, our Evil Genius GM dinner. Basically, we invite all the GMs that come out so they can, meet the staff, talk about what's going on, get a few, special previews and some insider knowledge that they might not have had before. But then it's a way for us to thank them for the hard work they're about to endure. So Dave had done an open limited open bar and a taco and savory waffle bar. It was awesome. It was a great time. We had a good time. I got to run into one of the people who play in a very prominent Power Rangers stream, although now it's turned into kind of like an Essence 20 stream because they've branched out and done a lot of stuff with some of the other licenses, called Let There Be Thunder. It's actually I think the name of the stream itself is Spectrum, is Spectrum Role Playing, as in like the emotional spectrum of the Power Rangers, run by the effervescent Matthew. It's a great channel, and in fact, I'm going to go ahead and put the Twitch link in the description of the video because you guys should check it out. They do good work. They have a good time, and they really do get it as far as Essence 20 and what the kind of the fun nature of role playing should be. So you should go check them out. They're a lot of fun. They've got tons of videos already up. I think they were one of the first Power Rangers streams, to be fair. But one of their members does demos for Evil Genius, or at least did this time, and ended up running a ton of my own personal adventure that I wrote for Total Recall. So that was pretty cool. It was nice to meet him and in person. And we were just a lot of talking, a lot of just things like that. I met a few of my Evil Genius staff that I had not met before. At least in person. Everyone's always a little box on a TV, on a computer monitor, similar to how I am to you now. But it was a good night, and when it was done, I thought about trying to track down some people to maybe go, have a drink or anything like that. But I was like, you know what, tomorrow, Thursday morning is going to come awfully early, and I was right. Because by the time I got home, Thursday morning was something. I was at because just how the staffing worked and how where the employees for our company needed to be. We actually had two different locations. We had the main exhibition hall booth, where most of our sales were going to take place, where it was in the crush of the people. And then over at the JW Marriott, the hotel next door, we had a ballroom area that was dedicated to all of our games, all of the games being played. I was actually assigned to be the staffer at the game hall for most of the show. Pretty much when I wasn't out doing meetings and things and appearances, which we'll talk about here in a second. I was in that room, which meant that if you were trying to find me, I was easy to find, but you had to leave the convention center to come do that. Not ideal for the purposes of like signing autographs and stuff like that, or finding me just to socialize. But it was pretty cool for me because I didn't have to deal with the giant crowds or the crush of people or trying to get to the booth, which I learned this about an hour and a half into the show on Thursday. We get a call that says, "Hey, this is Ann over at the regular booth. Our Wi-Fi hotspot is broken. We need the other one." So we scooped up. We turned the Wi-Fi on in the JW for our shopping thing there, and then we took the hotspot and I started heading over to the exhibition hall to give them Wi-Fi access. It took me almost 20 minutes to make a 5 to 10 minute walk. Because of just the sheer number of people and the crowds and the Gen Con has always been big. This Gen Con was huge, enormous, definitely record-breaking numbers. And over in the exhibition hall itself, I actually never managed to see more than like the 3 things that I needed to go to because of my meetings. So to give you an idea, I just, even other than my art crawl to get a bunch of artists' business cards and things for our art director, I didn't get a chance to get around, which is weird. I normally almost always get like one day, 4 hours or so to go and see the show. It wouldn't have been enough this time. There were so many people. It was massive. But we got them Wi-Fi, everything's great. I went back, and then suddenly whereas I may have been a little, I don't want to say disgruntled, but I may have been a little rubbed funny by the fact that I wasn't over with the main booth, that I wasn't over there where people know to find me, where I'd be able to see all my convention people and do all my wheeling and dealing. Coming back from that trip with the Wi-Fi, I didn't mind. I realized that people who need to see me know where to find me. They know how to contact me. And I had posted it in several places where you could find me. And I had a couple of special events that I knew I had to be at. So not being crushed under 60,000 plus people wasn't necessarily a bad thing. And I don't mind crowds, but those crowds were nuts. So yeah, Thursday went well. Thursday was great. We got to see a bunch of people play the games, got some feedback on some of the adventures, did a few sales, nothing big over on our side. The exhibition hall was crazy busy, which is awesome. Also, oh yeah, I totally spaced it. Now that I can show you, because we revealed them, I've got a couple of things here that we had in the case over at the exhibition hall. We bought a miniatures case. Now there is one particular miniature that I actually had to send back to the painter. So he's not here for me to show you, but I can show you. We have Leatherback, one of the kaiju from Pacific Rim. He's a big boy. Grr. And then we have this particular one is painted by Jamie Krause. An awesome painter out of Ohio. We have Gypsy Danger. You'll recognize her. So Gypsy Danger, Pacific Rim Jaeger of some fame, painted by an actual local guy, Brian Westbrook, who did a great job. He really did. He did a great job. And then due to some painter weirdness, we actually have Cherno Alpha, which I painted, and I did some water effects for the ground. So Cherno here. I kept looking over at my paint table in the last couple episodes and be like, I wish I could show you. Wish I could show you. It's Cherno here. So you're probably asking, why did Evil Genius have miniatures? Well, for obvious reasons. The biggest one is miniatures are cooler on the battle maps when you are playing a role-playing game. It is just much cooler to have big Jaegers fighting big things rather than just standees or using the theater of the mind. So those are excellent for those purposes. And on top of that, we are probably going to be looking at eventually selling these models, and I am hoping to maybe find other uses for them. So I can't really talk about much when it comes to that sort of thing, but you know me, you know what I like to do, and this is one of the game lines that I have, kind of control over. So we'll see. You know what I'm talking about. All right, so that was Thursday. That was Thursday during the day. Show wrapped up, and then Thursday night in the afternoon or the early evening, I had this really kind of cool. I won't say it's like a cocktail party. It was more like a happy hour kind of thing. Tapas and drinks and whatever for the Heroic Signatures licensing firm. They are the ones, if you haven't seen that label, they are the ones that do that possess that possess the Mutant Chronicles license that we use for Warzone. So Alex and I got invited to that. It was really fun. It was neat. I got to see a ton of people. Again, these a lot of times these are my convention family. These are people who I don't normally get to sit around and just talk with. So at a show like this, I get to see people like Tommy Rice and James Lauder and Matt Fantastic and Matt Forbeck and I get to Meredith Placco, which I have a funny story about Meredith, which I'll talk about that here in a second. It's just a really good time. I got to actually have a little bit of a conversation with Steve Jackson, who I have met before, but I've never really sat and talked with. That was a lot of fun. I got to steal Chris Birch's drink. Chris Birch is the owner of Modifius. It was just a good time. It was a nice couple of hours. And then when that wrapped up, the Meredith Placco thing. So I'm sitting there talking to Matt Forbeck, or Matt Fantastic, just chit-chatting back and forth. And this small blonde woman who runs over and gives me this giant hug and is like, "Bryan!" And I'm like, "Hi." And I realize that I recognize her, but I don't know from where. And I look at her name badge, and it says, she says that she's Meredith, and I'm like, okay. And she's got that blank look, like I should know her. I mean, she obviously knows my name, and I'm like, okay, Meredith. And she's like, Placco, and my head immediately starts to just do flips because I look at her badge and it says Meredith Placco, Steve Jackson Games, and I'm like, I was like, I know Meredith Placco from Facebook. I know we've had conversations, but I know that I've seen her name on emails, but I've never worked with Steve Jackson Games before. So I'm like, where is that from? Why is this a thing? Did I ask them for, a job sometime? What is this? She sees my confusion, and she says, Meredith Placco, new CEO of Steve Jackson Games. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And she goes, but you probably know me as me and my husband own Turbo Dork, the paint company that sponsors your YouTube show. I felt about this big because I was like, I know the name, and it's one of those things where you do see so many people and you meet so many people and there's so many names going back and forth. I felt very bad, and she laughed it off, and I was like, well, yeah, no, now that I have the reference, we sat and talked for a long time about their new silicone mats, or their silicone paint mats, which are great and amazing, and it sounds like I'm probably going to get a couple of samples to hopefully show you guys, and maybe even give away. Could be cool. Excuse me. So party ends, and I check my phone to find out what time it is, and it is early enough that I can reach out to my local friends. And I reach out to my local friends, and I'm like, hey, what are you guys up to? And they're like, we'll come by and pick you up. And so we go back to my friend's house, who's nearby in Indianapolis, and it's just nice to hang out and talk, and we played a couple of games. One of which was it something about it? Say Last Day on Earth? Maybe no, that's not it. It was a kind of an older game where you are vying to get seats on the rocket that is leaving the planet. We lost 3 times. Nobody won. It was tragic. And then we changed games. We played the new Heroes of Barcadia. I won't go into details, but it's a fun game. And if you are of age and do not mind drinking alcohol libations, you should totally check it out. I will also tell you this: do not play it with mixed drinks. Absolutely play it with, sparkling wine or beer or something that is not like hard or sharp. I'll let you ponder on that one. Thursday comes to a close. Friday morning opens up. It's regular everyday Friday. Everything is wonderful. And about halfway through, I forgot. Yeah, halfway through Thursday, I went and got to play the Shadowrun Takedown, which is at Kickstarter right now. It is a board game that emulates a Shadowrun mission. You are a team of runners running around doing a mission. It's really fun. You can find that video on Six Sides of Gaming. It was a bunch of us authors, a bunch of us Shadowrun and BattleTech authors playing the Shadowrun game. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. But if I have it on good authority that you should watch that Kickstarter because reasons. Just you may want to, even if you just like throw $1 at it to see what's up. I have it on good authority that some cool stuff is coming that is that might be particularly poignant for fans of the show. So follow the link that I put in the description. Friday was a lot of gaming. It was a normal day of going back and forth with the game masters and running events, and just nothing out of the ordinary. Good day. Day ended with I headed off to a private dinner party, hosted by Peter Atkinson, a friend of mine for years, and I thought it was going to be a small affair. I thought it was going to be like just a handful of us having dinner. I was wrong. Peter throws big events. It was probably almost 30 people. I got to sit around and chit chat with some friends of mine. I got to meet. I was introduced to. So I know Jason Charles Miller from previous events, and I got to meet. He brought Vivka with him, and she's amazing. I got to hang out with Patrick. It was just nice. It was amazing food. But it was nice because Peter basically calls these people together, and he gets up and he does the toast where it's, I called you guys all. I called everyone here to this thing because I love you all dearly. We are more than just convention goers. You guys come to Gen Con and you help make my life brighter. It was really sweet. It was really nice, and it was nice to see everybody, even if some of the people I only managed to see for a few minutes. But the kind of icing on that cake, it was hilarious. I show up to the dinner, I get my drink, and I turn around, and bam, standing right there in front of me is my boss. Is Dave, the owner of Evil Genius. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, what are you doing here? It was so... He's known Peter for years. I've known Peter for years. It was just weird and cool and serendipitous. It was awesome. So we had a great time. We sat around, and after dinner, we sat at the table for a little while, and before they kicked us out, we were, talking back and forth, just talking a mixture of personal stuff and a little bit of business, and, it was nice. It was nice to just sort of kind of unplug from the show for a minute and just be people in the game industry. That yes, we've got professional connections and whatnot with each other and others, but that all stuff that can get set aside, and we can just kind of talk like people, and enjoy the fact that we were at this really cool event thrown by our friend, and meeting new people and reconnecting with old. It was awesome. So Friday night was a great time. When that was over, I connected with Alex for a little bit from Res Nova. I was going to play a board game with him, but it got really late, and so I took off. Saturday was another just regular day in the life during the day. Although I did have a novel signing over at Catalyst. We sat down for an hour and we were signing our novels and things. Got to sign a couple. It wasn't very busy, but it was fun. It was nice. Got to sit around and talk with Russell Zimmerman and Malik, which was it was good. It was nice to be recognized for the work that we've done. But also nice to talk to them about kind of what, we're all working on current novels. And so it's, sort of get the inside tip from each other without having to get it filtered through the editor over there, John, who's also a great guy. But you're going to get a secondary version of what you're doing. And then when that was over, I went back to the hall and, finished things out, because Saturday night, I had a really good moment, and then kind of a bittersweet moment. So I'm wearing the special one-of-a-kind Clan MacLeod embroidered Highlander The Dark Gathering special t-shirt that we gave away to the game masters and staff that were involved with that project. It was our first Evil Genius mega event. I think we had a total of 58 people play at various tables. It's a scripted event that has particular timestamps, and basically the way it worked is you are all immortals invited to basically by this evil guy to get together and try and vie for his power. And we ran the event where you started out at separate tables, and eventually you pared yourself down. You picked champions and things, and eventually it came down to 2 people. And in typical Highlander fashion, at the end of the night, there can be only one. One defeated the other, and we gave away a life-size replica Clan MacLeod broadsword. There's pictures on our website. It was a lot of fun. I didn't get a chance to stay for the whole thing because I had a special Kickstarter dinner for Warzone Eternal, which we got to meet one of the high-end backers of the Kickstarter and talk about the game, talk about just life in general, let him pick our brains on how things, are going to progress, how things, he had some opinions on how things should progress. It was nice. It was a nice way to interact with a fan, and hopefully we answered his questions and fed him really, really good food, which we did. But the goal here, of course, is that he hopefully left happy, that he got his money's worth for the Kickstarter. He also got a special one-of-a-kind figure case and the Bauhaus faction starter set very early. We had a special box run specifically for him. So one of the high-end backers taken care of. Hopefully he left happy. I do not know how active he is on socials, so you may or may not see or hear anything about that. But it was a good time. Good food. Lots of questions asked and answered, and I do believe that we left that kind of knowing that things were going to be good. Now, that being said, I left that dinner and I looked at my phone and I had a ton of messages being like, "Hey, where are you at? Why are you here? When are you showing up? What's going on?" And it occurred to me that I might be missing something. That is there something in my schedule that should have been there? And I won't say I forgot, but I had gotten caught up in the Warzone dinner that I forgot that I may have been on a time schedule. So that night, the guys over at Hunters Entertainment were celebrating the release of the Ragnarok role-playing game. And they had basically privated up the little nightclub Nevermore, which is just a little ways down the way from from where I was at having dinner. So I popped on over, and knowing that I had so many friends inside, I was like, I've got to get over there. I popped on over, and I won't lie, this was the first time that I got to a doorman, like a door person, and basically, I was not on the list, but I was in the verbal list, so to speak. When I went to the person behind the counter, I was like, hey, I talked to Ivan earlier today, Jason's inside, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't have to call anybody. They knew, it was very flattering. They knew who I was, and they gave me, went ahead and had me pop in on inside. It was awesome. I had a great time. I got to see a ton of different people. It was the only time I got to see Luke Gygax the entire time of Gen Con. Because he was always streaming. I saw Elisa for a few minutes and then got whisked away. It was tons of fun. And by the time the night was over, I was exhausted. I was socially just like charged, but so tired. I was like, I gotta get back to the hotel room. So I took off and went back to the hotel room. And then Sunday was Sunday. Sunday was Sunday at the show. It's always... Oh, I forgot the bittersweet Saturday moment. So I did stick my head in over at the Renegade mega event, the giant combined like 40-person game where they did added in all of the Essence 20 stuff in one event. It was really cool. I went over there specifically just to see Ryan Costello, because he was one of the fellow Essence 20 designers. And I never got to actually meet him in person, and he doesn't really do shows and stuff. So I made sure to get over there before dinner and whatnot, so I could meet him. It was cool. I got to meet him, but while I was there, it was hard. It was hard to see the culmination of all of our Essence 20 efforts. Seeing my baby being played and everyone running around and all the Renegade staff getting the tables ready and getting players ready, and I saw Jordan, which was awesome. Got to say hi to him, but not to be all like not non-humble. I like to try and be humble, and definitely not to be a diva, but it was hard. It was hard being in a room full of people playing the game that you created and just being another face in the crowd. The Renegade people were busy. They didn't really care that I was there. I mean, I got to see Ryan, and that was cool. But it was rough knowing that I wasn't a part of that anymore, and that more than likely I will never be a part of that again. Or get to create some of the stuff that I had planned for those licenses, and seeing that other people will not only probably do the things that I wanted to do, but maybe even use some of the plans that I had laid out. It's rough. It was an eye-opening, tough moment, but it was very cool to see it being taken in so readily, and people already like starting to have fun. It was cool, and more than anything, it was awesome to see Ryan. Like that definitely overshadowed any bittersweetness. Was to getting to see Ryan and meet him in person, which was amazing. But it was hard. It was hard to see, to know that Essence 20, the one of probably my best creations, even at, whatever part I played. And the various books that are coming out and still have to come out for that. That's kind of like my last foray in with that baby. It is what it is. That is not to say I'm not happy at Evil Genius. I'm over the moon about the stuff that I'm doing for Evil Genius. But you're allowed to love one and miss the other. You're allowed. Yeah, so then Sunday came. Sunday was just a show. We did the show. We packed up. We got everything squared away. The last day of Gen Con is always such a such a mixed bag, because you're exhausted, you're tired of the crowds, you're hoping you didn't catch the con crud, but you also that you're not going to see your some of these convention friends for months, if not a year. That you got to go back to the regular grindstone come here in a couple of days. But yeah, Sunday finishes up. We have a couple of meetings at the end. We have a nice taco dinner. It was a great dinner. We close up shop, and then Monday morning, my lovely wife came to come pick me up, and I came back to here to unpack and get ready for the regular day. Start things over again. Overall, Gen Con was awesome. It was a great show. It was a really good business show. I had a lot of good meetings. I talked to a lot of good people, signed some cool books, and I had, I think, a total of like 6 releases over at Renegade that showed up at Gen Con. One of which was my favorite book that I did cover to cover there. That was the Decepticon Directive. It's now officially out, or at least it was at Gen Con. Yeah, it was a good show. It was solid. And it laid the groundwork for some more cool shows, because it does sound like there is a very distinct possibility that here in a couple of weeks that I'll be going to a trade show that I wasn't expecting. More on that in the future. Yeah, so I think that's it. Oh, that's not it. I need to pull up the random winner of the July's. Did I wait? Is it? Yeah, I gotta pull up July's raffle winner, because I popped it. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Where did I stash that little number? Boop. It was from episode 197. And it is John Roberts 8793. So at John Roberts 8793, you win the July comment raffle. So I will post on your thing that I'll post on your comment that you won when this goes live, and you can email me your address and I'll send you some cool stuff. How's that sound? Pretty cool, huh? Keep those comments coming. So I think without further ado, I know I've gone over a little bit, but this was an important episode to talk about such cool stuff. You know how it is. Please be safe. If you went to Gen Con, get some COVID tests. There's already some people that have said that they're testing positive. So you never know what you may have run into. Wear a mask if you have to, or if someone asks you to. Get vaccinated, get boosted. You know all these things. Just try and leave everywhere just a little happier than when you got there. That's all that matters. Oh, and play some games. We will see you next week.